Hey everyone, we're here in Vancouver, Washington at the Hawthorne Gardening Company World Headquarters. This is formerly the Sunlight Supply World Headquarters, and now they've joined the Hawthorne family. We're here specifically to go see Mr. Bruce LeBlanc, the Director of Compliance here at Hawthorne Gardening Company, and he's gonna show us how they make all of their products in the USA, including Gavita, Botanicare, Sun System, Can Filter, and Titian Controls, which are manufactured in the USA at this facility. Why don't we go inside and go see how it works? Bruce.
Nate, welcome to Hawthorne World Headquarters. What do you think?
This building is spectacular. It's huge.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I'd like to show you the rest of it. Shall we go for a walk?
I'll follow you.
Let's do it.
Bruce, I understand that you guys have an ETL lab on site. So why don't we jump into that a little bit?
So we have what's called an accredited satellite lab. And there's lots of different levels, but we attain what's called the ultimate lab, satellite level 4, where we're able to do all of the testing, all the construction evaluations, writing the reports. We can do that all in-house. For us, it's really important that we focus on safety. We don't want to sell a product and burn our house down, can hurt somebody, or worse, right? As far as we know, there's nobody else out there in our industry that has the same commitment to safety that we do.
So what about this crazy orb you have in this room? What is this thing called?
Yeah, so that's called the Albright sphere. And so basically what we utilize that for is testing all of our lamps. You want raw lamp data. We'll put these lamps inside the sphere, which is coated with barium sulfate. It's basically a very, very diffuse material, and so that you basically get the same lamp output anywhere you measure it. And then we're able to see really what that lamp's performance can do with certain types of ballast.
Is there anything that like a grower can do to ensure that they're buying compatible products, bulbs and ballasts?
With anything that we sell, we know we've done our due diligence that that lamp will always work with those particular ballasts. Pay attention to what you've got going on. If anybody's ever walked into a room, they kind of see this light strobing, typically that's a bad lamp ballast combo that you'll see. So one of the next things we want to look at, if it meets that level, is FCC compliance.
So Bruce, what is this odd looking room that we're in right now?
That's a good question. And so you ever like drive in a tunnel and your radio goes all staticky? It's electrical interference. Any products that we produce out of electrical parts, we want to make sure it's not actually causing interference. It's really important around schools and airports, military facilities, hospitals, things like that. You don't want to create anything that's going to cause, havoc. And so in order to do that, you have to test for it. In order to test for it, you have to build a chamber like this. We call this our FCC chamber. Any emissions that are actually radiating outside of the product, we're able to capture.
I've actually heard of other lighting companies that have gone out of business because the FCC intervened and said their products were having interference with communication devices, internets, things like that.
That's a great point. Yeah, and that's why we take it very seriously. I mean, we built an FCC chamber on-house, which was a lot of money. I mean, we're talking, $750,000 for something like this. Is how serious we take it. For instances like that. We stand by the Sun System brand, the Gavita brand, that does a terrific job of actually making sure we pass FCC. And we'll send it to third-party labs to certify, right? We want to make sure that what they're seeing in a certified lab matches what we have. But also in doing that, we're able to test a lot of products that, that aren't ours, and you'd be remarkable how many actually don't pass.
Wow, so you think approximately what percentage of fixtures out in the market today do you think cannot pass?
Oh, it's 85%.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Bruce, this is maybe one of the most impressive rooms of equipment I think I've ever been in. What is this, a bat cave?
You could call it that for sure. So this is our gonio photometer. Gonio means angle, photo means light, meter meaning measure. So we're trying to measure the angle of the light coming out of our fixture. Obviously, we're a producer and seller of a lot of lighting products, and so we want to know what these lighting fixtures actually do. But we'll bring it in here, we'll measure it horizontally, vertically center, turn the light on, and press the go button. And you can actually watch this thing spin around, and it'll feed right back to the receiver, and that receiver will calculate all of that data that comes around. So you'll notice it actually comes at each particular angle. We'll combine this with the measurements we did in the Albright sphere with a lamp, and we'll look at efficiencies to see how much of that light is being trapped in a reflector and how much of it actually is making it out onto the target. So we're able to do all of that testing in-house. You know, it's an investment between the room, the piece of equipment, you know, the training, the upkeep and everything. And we're looking at $350,000 to have a piece of equipment like this.
What are some of the most high output fixtures that you currently test in this facility that you make?
For us, the Gavita fixtures are just fantastic. Our DE Boss and our DE Boss Com have been probably the highest output on a strictly lamp that we've ever tested inside here. If you notice now, we've got our brand new Gavita LED fixture that we've got hanging up, and that thing is just a rock star, right? Photometrics are obviously top notch being LED, but 1650 micromoles, 650 watt fixture, this thing is just does everything. Can dim it down to 50% and anywhere between 50 and 100, very controllable. It works with all of our Gavita controllers, and so this is kind of the gamut of testing that we go through with all of our products. So. The first thing that we want to take a look at is raw materials. So we have a raw piece of sheet metal here that's going to go directly onto one of our punches. And with this punch, we'll actually be able to punch out the exact type of product that we want. So as it punches this unit out, you can actually see it starting to take shape in the different designs that we have. Something else to think about is that there is an embossing tool. And so in our case, we like to put Sun System on our Sun System products. So instead of punching all the way through the metal, it basically presses into the metal without going all the way through. With the forming machines, we take a flat piece of metal, and the whole idea is we want to bend it into shape. So every 25th piece that's actually being formed, they'll take out the calipers and actually measure that tolerance to make sure we're in compliant with what we set out to be. Once we've formed all of the pieces of flats, now we've got to put all these together. The best way to put them together is to actually rivet these reflectors and housings. In order to rivet it, we want to make sure we create a rivet assembly line. Not only do we want to manufacture the product here in the US, but we want to be as efficient as we can in manufacturing this product. This means that we have to give each station the same amount of work to do all the way down. So you'll notice you have the beginning part of a reflector. By the time it gets to the end, you have a complete product ready to go. Once we're done with riveting, we want to move it directly over to powder coat. So the first stage is the wash line. We want to rinse off anything that could be on that metal itself. So you have minerals and oils and different things that you don't really want on that product. It also makes the powder coat tough to adhere to. So we'll rinse it off, we'll put on a detergent, then we'll rinse it off again. We'll put a zinc coating over the top of that metal. That zinc coating actually allows the powder coat to adhere a lot better to it. This automatic booth will actually utilize sensors to detect where that particular product is and how far in and out those robotic arms should actually spray. What you'll notice inside this negatively pressured room is these giant vacuums. What we're able to do is recuperate between 90 to 95% of the powder coat that doesn't actually land on the product. Once the reflector comes out of the powder coat booth, it's like a dry powder. It can literally be wiped right off. This is where the curing stage is really important. So the first part of the curing stage is to go through an infrared oven. This IR oven creates a lot of heat without a lot of draft. If you underbake it, you can create some runs. If you overbake it, you can actually turn the white yellow. And so it's important that we calculate the speed of the conveyor line and the temperature of the oven to make sure that we're hitting this exactly spot on. Once we get through the IR oven, then we'll put it through the convection oven, all stimulated on time based on what that particular product actually is. As we move down this assembly line, you'll notice how the fixture comes more and more complete with each step of the way. The last step being a full-on performance testing. Obviously, we want to test for safety. We want to make sure when somebody plugs it in, it's not going to hurt anybody. We also want to make sure it works. We'll fire up every single fixture, 100% check to make sure every fixture that leaves here works and is safe before it is ever boxed up. Once a product has passed all QC testing, it will run up through these elevators onto the second level. At the second level, this is where we put them in boxes, apply any labels. If there's power cords we need to put in there, we'll throw them in there. We'll run it down the conveyor line, onto a pallet, and out the door she goes. We actually have all the capability to do all our own wire kits in-house. We're building them ahead of time, so again, those efficiencies that we can gain directly into production assembly. We really tout USA manufacturing. In order to do that, we gotta be lean, we gotta be smart about how we manufacture, we gotta make sure we can do as much of it in-house as we can. This is another benefit that we can do with USA manufacturing is to actually build all these wire kits here. The other items that we manufacture here, Botanicare trays. All colors, sizes, and shapes that we offer a company, we're able actually to build here on site. The other thing we're really proud of is that the entire can filter facility process is being manufactured here as well.
Canna Cribs, How It Works, Episode 1, that's a wrap.